uh, 3 minutes early, but
Can you see anything?
Yes,
well, very good. Go for it, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
Now we are like
either we're all
this is proper gear.
Either
Why
we're
don't I have
Yep.
Everybody's wondering, have those guys gone blind or what?
Yes, we're GDPR compliant.
3 blind mice.
Yeah. Heavens. That was pretty cool, actually. But 2 minutes to go. We can't like formally start this thing before it's time. For once, I think we'll be just on time here. So hope there's lots of evil things that's been going on in Finland as well, Tina. So
Yes.
So we get lots of good topics here.
Actually, I'm wearing a pretty exclusive cap here.
What's the exclusive cap? I see an emblem there, but what is it?
Yes, it's Ylivieskan jääkarhut.
Oh, wow.
It's
wow.
what?
Ylivieskan
jääkarhut. The ice hockey team in the town of Ylivieska, where my wife comes from.
Whoa!
They're not terribly good. But I've got the cap.
You got the cap.
Been there, done it.
Yeah. That's the main thing. You got the cap. Hey, how's my audio, by the way? Is it like reasonably okay?
Absolutely perfect. You've got the pro stuff there.
Well, it's only for the show. Only for the show. Actually, I should turn up your volume.
Actually, this is the sort of setup, with the headsets and the microphones and so on. We could do a sort of, Band-Aid style. We are the world, with fingers in our ears over the sort of.
Oh yeah!
But we should have all that kind of microphones as Nilo is having.
The pro gear.
Yeah.
I wasn't even able to load the what is it called, the lower third kind of a thing. You know, the thing.
No, I gave up. I was going to. Yeah.
I couldn't make it work. I think there's something. They're messing things up again, I think.
I'm not on Hangouts enough. I've forgotten almost, but I was tempted to write Mark Zuckerberg in the lower third, but
no kidding.
Are you going to be apologizing?
That might be too daring. You never know what's going to happen.
I'm really sorry. We
thought about actually colleagues and I were talking about all this last week on GDPR Day, and we thought we should pose for a photograph on all of us with a paper bag on our head with little eye sockets there and say, GDPR compliant.
Oh God, this will be really, really great conversation. I can already feel that. I feel the vibes. Hey, it's 4 p.m. Officially. By the way, darn. Let's see. I'm just trying to figure out if I should have sent the link to someone else.
Is anyone there?
Wait, one here. It's us 3 here. As usual. What did you expect? Someone else?
Someone watching us?
Wait a second. I was talking to Zach in the US. Our old buddy there. He's not old. I'm the only one who's old, I guess. But and he might or might not join us. But I got to get him the link. I think. How do I do that? Hangouts. Okay. Actually, I had him here. Let's see. There's Jack. Paste it in there. Oops. I wonder if I messed it up. It just takes one little stupid character in the.
Yep.
It went. He said actually that apparently it's Memorial Day in the U.S. and so they are like supposed to be, I don't know, at home and nice to their partners, wives, husbands, whatever. And apparently part of the deal is that he shouldn't be like, sitting alone in a room talking to some weird folks with shades. In Europe. So I'm not sure if he's going to make it. And Kim in the very south of Sweden, in Malmö, he might pop in. Let's see, did I give him the link? I think
I saw a comment from him.
Good. Okay, I did. mail him or message him the link. So he might be popping later, since he's been interviewed about GDPR with
Yeah.
some hotshots. I don't know what. We might hear about that later, depending on how long we can cope with this
Yeah.
heat. At
Yeah.
least it's awfully hot in my
I keep
tiny
hearing.
room.
I keep thinking of
Your
the village
cubicle.
My cubicle, in my cubicle,
people.
right? My cubicle. I like that.
I keep thinking of the village people singing GDPR.
That'd be pretty cool.
Like, young man.
Good idea. Good idea. Okay, a little bit of a late, whatever you call it, roll call here. This is, anyway, Be Smart on Air. I shouldn't say BSOA. So this BS thing doesn't really sound right. No BS. It's Be Smart on Air. Who on earth made up the name of the show? I don't know. Must have been some kind of mistake way back in time. It's been a while, for heaven's sake. I don't even remember when we did this last time. Might have been like
It was cold.
it was cold, so it's been a while. That's for sure. Anyways, the theme for today is all the evil or good things going on. That's why the shades here, kind of symbol for, I don't know, perhaps the dark side. Yeah, there's been lots of evil stuff going on, especially in the social media department. Hopefully not that much evil things in education, but unfortunately there might be a connection there as well. And of course, I guess everyone felt the earth move on Friday when GDPR came thundering in. But we'll see what we'll have on the table today on top of those things. But a quick one, like introductions, please. I'm Nilo from very northern Sweden, and this is what I look like without the shades. I skipped the darn shades. I can't see anything with the shades. Otherwise, they're fine. So introductions from you guys as well. Go for it. Alistair, you go first, or who? You can fight about that.
Oh.
You have the nice hat. You got to go first.
Okay. Yes, I'm Alistair Creelman. I think I will have to reveal myself because I too can't actually. I have no idea what I'm doing.
The headset thing. That's tough with the hat.
Bright lights. There we are.
Good to see you.
Alistair Creelman, Linnaeus University in Kalmar in the southeast of Sweden. And we decided to put the shades on just to be a bit sort of representing this, the darker side and the anonymity and the right to remain anonymous, etc., which we're going to be talking about. Yes, indeed. It's been a dramatic few months recently. So I'm glad I'm not a rock star and you have to wear sunglasses all the time, because I would crash into a lot of things.
But you definitely look like a rock star, some kind of a rock star anyway.
No one's ever said that before. Tina.
Okay, so I'm Tina Sarisalmi from Finland, and working in the educational development projects, coordinating different kinds of projects on that field. At the moment, I'm really actually quite enthusiastic about changes in language learning and teaching, and starting early education, language learning, and even in the kindergarten and so on. So it's always something new. So all changes, I can't help it, but I get inspired with change and wanting to be on top of the wave there.
We can't help the changes, but we can always try fighting them.
Okay. No, just
Where are you, by the way? What's your location right now? You are like in kind of a office environment or what?
Yeah. This is my office in the Orivesi town hall. I've
Okay.
been working here for, I don't know, 4 years perhaps. But I'm not here at all the time, so I'm traveling quite a lot and teacher training these days.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still working for the Ministry of Education?
Yeah, they pay my salary.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
And I think you said you're working less and get the same pay. So I really
I'm working
like
more.
like that
I'm working more and getting less paid.
I got that all wrong in that case.
Not getting less, but working more all the time, Starting with one project and full time with one project, and that was just perfect life. And then next year, another project, and then third and fourth and fifth. And it's like doing that all the time, but it's nice. I am a sort of person who likes to link things, who likes to make connections. So in that sense, working with language learning and ICT and international projects and collaboration and so on, they all seem to be linked together in a very beautiful way. And I'm just, looking for that kind of connections all the time. This is what I enjoy.
Great combination for sure. They are definitely linked together.
Yeah. And you can
very
link more things there as well. Maybe sustainable development goals also, and education for democracy and equality and so on.
So it's a good thing there are good things going on in Finland in language learning, for example. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm really interested in hearing about your monsters. I'm really sort of freed myself.
Oh, come on, you got a Facebook
I know only
account.
one monster, and he lives on the other side of the Atlantic.
All right.
Hopefully,
no
never
names.
comes here. No
names.
He has lots of friends, I'm afraid.
On both sides of the Atlantic, perhaps. Well, where do we go from here? Do we get start with the dark side or the the good stuff coming from Finland? We started with the shades. Why don't we go to the dark side?
I'm pretty dark.
One with that. So, what do you think of the? Of course, the elephants in the room, the social media giants, and especially the one starting with an F. What do you think of this huge kerfuffle about Facebook? I mean, it seems that they are doing better than ever after all the trouble.
Well, I think we actually want to be compromised sometimes. It shouldn't have been a surprise, and it probably wasn't a surprise that they were selling everything we have to anyone who's got the money.
You were not selling everything. It was a mistake, huh?
Oh yeah. I think it's been a sobering experience because I've realized that that's what they do. That's why it's free. I mean, it's been a good lesson for many people. The fact that, of course, it's maybe a little bit glib now to talk about the cliche that if it's free, then you're the product. But it is very, 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 very true. The whole reason it is free is because we are paying with our personal data.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not free then.
It's not free at all. Nothing is free. I've had to revise a lot of things in the last few months. Basically, I can say there are 3 types of free, and all of them are not free. So it's a word we should actually lose almost because it's become warped.
Agreed to that.
And whenever you see the word free, you should start asking questions. The whole thing is about being much, much, much more digitally literate, but not just digitally. I mean, being more aware of what's going on. The different types of free are, number one is the free as in Facebook, Google, etc., 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 where you are the product. And we have to realize what these companies are doing and what the potential is. And we should stop pretending that, in the past, we assumed that companies were benevolent. We assumed that governments are benevolent. We know that's not the case. Governments, even in the most seemingly democratic countries, can, over a very short period of time, become less than democratic and can order companies to divulge data, etc. So we're going to be more aware of what these free things really do. Then the second type of free is the freemium model, which we use a lot in education, and I've become very addicted to. I mean, these are the tools that are free up to a point, and then if you want more sophisticated services, you have to pay for them. That shouldn't be a surprise that you have to pay for something because, why is it free? It's to attract you to pay for the product, because if nobody pays for the product, the company goes bankrupt. And again, that's not particularly surprising, but somehow we got it into our heads about 15 years ago that everything on the net has to be free. And nobody earns any money, but somehow everyone's making a fortune. And how does that happen? And there's still this idea, the minute you start charging for something on the net, people throw up their hands in horror, say, oh, I'm leaving it. This is terrible. They're actually charging money. But how do you expect them to survive? I've noticed in the past few months that several freemium products have suddenly lowered the bar for their pro versions. So one or two I've had to give up because suddenly the free version only gave you a teeny little bit of room to play with, which wasn't enough. And the pay version was what they wanted you to buy. And the pay version was too expensive. So there's a lovely curation tool called Scoopit that I've used for several years. Hi, Jonas.
Hello. Hey, Jonas, good to see you here.
And I've had to give up Scoopit, which I really loved. I've now found an inferior free version, an inferior other product that's free so far. But I've given up Scoopit because they were wanting about 1,500 kroner a year to pay for it. And that's okay if that's the only tool in town, but I have a lot of tools I want to afford, and I don't have room for all of them. So some of them have got to go. I'm paying for one or two, but I can't pay for many, not at that rate. So where do we get? I've had to rethink a lot of things. I'll end this in a minute and hear what Jonas and the others say. In a little bit of the sort of hysteria when all the fuss was going on about the data going everywhere, I really battened down my Facebook security. I looked at the apps that I had and realized they were leaking everything. Basically, they all had the right to take absolutely everything I do and spread it to absolutely anyone on Earth. And so I just cut a lot of them. And I cut down a lot of the security on it. But I can't give up Facebook because I know too many wonderful people through it. And if I got rid of it, I would lose that contact.
Yep.
And so I have to sort of make the best of it.
Your job is like digging deep in social media all the time. It's pretty much about that, right?
Yeah, of course. I have made some radical moves. I've ditched Chrome as a web browser. And I don't search with Google anymore. So Chrome and Google are out the window. I have replaced them with the search engine DuckDuckGo, which doesn't
that's a good one.
Which doesn't track you. And I use my browser is now called Vivaldi, and I'm not sure how kosher they are, but they seem to be fairly upfront and not in quite the same business as Google. So that's my little pathetic attempt to sort of restrict my. But I'm pretty available online. But I'm trying to sort of cut down the exposure to the giants. And
well,
I think
at least you're taking a bit of action.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a case of you have to look at, you have to spread your risks and not put everything into one tool.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Jonas, we are here on the dark side. So since you popped in, we already had some quick introductions in the beginning. Who are you and how the heck did you find your way in here?
Exactly. No, so first of all, except that my phone is ringing at the same time.
Trash it.
Yes, see if I can turn it off. My name is Jonas Beckelin, and what happened in my journey is that I've been working very closely with cloud we call it services in schools and education. And the big giants are Microsoft and Google. So within these platforms, I have become a certified trainer and meet a lot of teachers who ask a lot of very valid questions about what's happened now with my lessons. How should I plan? What should I do? And what should I not do? So that's why I found this subject quite interesting.
And again, talking about this free stuff. So if I've got it right, there are some high hopes that the educational offerings of the giants are still like free. I don't know what you think about that, Alistair. But
yeah, I mean, I can see they've been. I'm getting really sick of getting GDPR mails from every company I've ever had the slightest contact with. I really
everyone's getting like tons of them, of course.
Yeah, I'm not sure though how far really Facebook are really going to meet these demands. I think it's good that we're getting them. I mean, they've been a bit of a nuisance, and everyone's had a lot of headaches around GDPR. But it's time have we been a bit naive in trusting all these companies to do no evil, and then suddenly we find out that Facebook's been set. What's fantastic is everyone was blaming all the Russian trolls for these leaks and everything, and in fact it was a company sitting in good old London town who was doing it all.
Sure.
Amongst many others. I think Cambridge Analytica are just the top of the iceberg. I think there's loads of them out there, and I just wonder if Facebook have got tabs on them as well. And we don't know what our Uncle Google is doing either.
Talking about don't be evil, it's kind of a funny thing actually. There's some kind of unofficial slogan that Google has had for many years, and I mean, talking about these huge companies like as being evil or not, I don't know if it makes any sense at all. But I think that was something that was scribbled on a whiteboard somewhere in a meeting room many years ago, and I'm not even sure if there was any deeper meaning into that. I'm not sure about that. But apparently they don't have the don't be evil thing in the terms of service, in the Google terms of service anymore, at least not that much in the foreground the way it used to be earlier. So I don't know what you make out of that, but I think it's kind of weird from the very beginning, actually.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, if the U.S. government or like the CIA ordered Google to give up everything they've got on one of us, I don't think they're going to refuse.
No, I don't think so, because that's the law. They got to give all their stuff in that case, if it's connected to foreign intelligence in a way. Yeah. And I think that's different. Yeah.
If the USA became an even more authoritarian and suspect country, then you've got such enormous power and organization sitting in a country who is maybe not necessarily democratic. And that risk is, what's that going to lead to? Maybe that's making a worst case and so on. But I mean, we've learned over the last few years that basically nothing is impossible. That anything can happen in the world. We've taken too much for granted.
Pretty much anything can happen. Yeah. So Jonas, did you say that you've been getting lots of questions about this new legislation coming in Europe, GDPR?
Yeah, how it and I love one answer I love to give back is that because I normally work with apps and products, a bit like Alistair said he was using Scoopit, And what we're saying is that in school, a lot of things you can't really say that a product is GDPR compliant or not. The more is how it's used within the system. And as far as I followed, it's actually if you use a product or an app in a way that information is filled in, taken out, managed in a way that is compliant with GDPR, you can use it. And it's not the app itself that is GDPR compliant. Or it's one. And the next thing that I also really say, not expert in it, but what I find like that's the approach I want to take is there's two terms that are talking about privacy by default and privacy by design. And those terms are, as far as I can tell, things that the school can do to structure the tools and the lessons and the flow with a lesson, that how things are going to do, a bit like a checklist for how to handle things. And that helps the teacher. So then who is going to put these together? And as everyone seemed to be a bit quiet there, like, are apps GDPR compliant or not? Of course, there are apps that break a lot of these things, and they will be very hard to get GDPR compliant. And to take an example, we were using this, what's it called? Doodle to booking meetings.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that one was decided not suitable to use anymore.
Why? Why is
Yeah,
that?
because as far as we could see, when you add your times, like to arrange meetings, in order to do the registration, you have to register with the app. And what happened is that it stores some personal data. And then the next thing is how is it stored? And as far as I could tell, I'm not sure if it was this one. We had a lot of cloud services where we said that this service has to be stored within European boundaries. I don't know if this was the case for this one, but I heard some companies have even set up or moved their services to servers on Ireland, for instance, because then they are within EU territory.
But it's weird. I mean, obviously, it shouldn't matter at all if we still focus on the education and all the tech companies working in education. It shouldn't matter at all where their servers are located. I mean, if they deal with the countries, the European countries, they need to be GDPR compliant, and that's it.
Maybe not Facebook.
Well, they are not. They are not yet in education that much, I think.
Or Instagram and so on. But,
but they have the age limits now.
Age limits?
Yeah, Instagram has got new age.
Oh.
And WhatsApp and those.
I think they've had the US age limits all the way. I guess that's I don't know if that has been an issue on the European side at all.
I think it is now. I think it's now. People are a bit worried about. I don't know. I'm just, I'm always very, so I don't think about the children not so much and the schools, but myself, and I'm just wondering, so who could use my information or my stuff sort of.
I haven't been doing anything wrong.
I really don't give a damn. I think it's yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, but
that might be the big problem if no one cares. Then there's lots of data that can be put together, and perhaps then things start getting interesting and dangerous. That's what I think.
I think it's what's been going on there was that they were taking people's sort of details, and then you're getting sort of tailor-made propaganda sent to you that will appeal to you and your preferences. is
They-
it'll
they
press
know-
the buttons that you react to.
They know what kind of bread I would be if I wear a bread.
Yeah,
So
so,
these
yeah.
are the kind of things they can use.
Yeah,
So
but it's not. I mean, the advertising side is what I thought it was originally. I thought it was just for the targeted advertising, but this is political, and it's much more serious. And then other things that I read, and again, who knows what's true and false, but things like the Messenger app on your mobile records your conversations. And various other, and that was confirmed even by Zuckerberg.
And Facebook is recording everything you say.
And you know, but I don't know. Again, there of course there are exaggerated fake reports about these things, but I think there was enough of it to make me somewhere along the line to make me convinced that one was actually true, and that there are apps actually monitoring what everything else goes on, what all other things that go on in your mobile, and they're recording your SMSs, your phone calls, they're sort of logging stuff. And this means that, you know, they know exactly where you are all the time, where you've been, what you've bought. And as we more and more use our mobiles for absolutely everything, because now paying is becoming quite regular by mobile, and you know, all your trips are paid by mobile and using apps, so your every movement is logged, and that can be used in certain countries very politically, and so on and so on. It makes that is worrying. I mean, I don't care about whether, because I used to laugh at Facebook's appalling attempts to send me targeted advertising, which is still bizarre.
I still get daily kind of emails where they ask if I want to get my penis enlarged.
Wow.
I think this is really.
Yeah, I was.
This is the kind of sort of thing I just.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because it just shows that the information they get from Facebook or Twitter can't be very reliable if they keep on sending.
That's what I thought, but I think some things have made me change my mind now. But certainly I find it amusing. Facebook continually bombards me with little sort of targeted advertising trying to get me to buy a tractor. There's several tractor companies are after me at the moment, and I have never in my life
are not perfect. They are.
I have never.
Alistair, you should just admit it secretly. You love tractors.
I want to be a tractor driver. Yes. I once got a lovely email saying press here for bigger breasts.
More tractor. But seriously speaking, I think one of the things that really got way out of hand is this informed consent thing. You know, like when you are signing in for whatever service, then there are those checkboxes that have already been checked, and you just go yeah, and wait for the big button to hit that I'm in. And of course, that has been a joke, since there has been no informed consent, because no one can understand what all of this stuff is.
It's legal
one of the really good, but who is stepping on me?
I was just saying it's legal language. It's not even the language ordinary people use. It's impossible for ordinary people to understand.
Absolutely. But I think this is changing now. You can't use that kind of like user agreements any longer.
GDPR forces the companies to put it all in plain language. They shouldn't go over a certain limit, and that's what we've been bombarded with the last few weeks, with all these emails which tell us there are new terms and conditions which should be user friendly. The trouble is, you know, once you've got onto your 25th email from a company, I don't want to look at their term and conditions. I don't care what's in it.
I don't think those emails really have any function at all. But I do think that later on, when this kind of a bump here gets smoothened out, then later on we'll be better off when we're signing into different services, because we can. Those guys, they can't just give us like all of these checkboxes that are already being checked, and you just go, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's got to be a different story. But these emails, they are just, I don't even think that most of them, make any sense
Are
at all.
genuine. Yeah, they're fake news.
I just, I hate that word. It doesn't even exist.
No.
Let's talk about lies instead.
It's actually called lies. Yes.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about lies.
Let's try the real words.
But still talking about this privacy thing, and like Tina, you said, hey, my stuff, who cares about my stuff? And yeah, well, I guess that's the way most of us feel.
Yeah, but I don't put anything that I feel is really private or personal.
But I mean, it's I think it's the huge scope of things. When all these little things from billions of people are put together, and they can harvest the data from all over the globe and do some really advanced profiling, that's when things get dangerous.
Yeah, I
that's
don't know if I can't feel that I need to be I want to be scared about that. I'm very open about my opinions and my leftist greenish ideas and
what are you saying?
Yeah. so it's if they can find it when they know what kind of things I like and things like that on Facebook or on Twitter, but I don't know should that be somehow scary?
I don't know if it should be scary. I don't know if it should be scary.
Yeah.
Wait until you get if a certain type of government comes into power, it suddenly gets scary. In Poland, in Hungary, in Russia, and many other countries, they have governments which are actually very interested in finding out what your opinions are, and that can lead to consequences. Maybe not today, but in the future. And
maybe not for you, but for someone else.
Yeah, for someone else. Anyone who's lived in a country that has a sort of totalitarian style. There's a new totalitarianism coming in now anyway, but it doesn't look the same as it used to. But it will be very, very dependent on data. And everything you say will be taken down and used as evidence against you. So I'm not as optimistic at all.
I was just checking now location history on Google Maps, and obviously my Android telephone communicates my location, so I could go back and see all locations I visited.
Absolutely. Same thing with me. And I'm fully aware of it. I've been fully aware of it like for several years, actually. And I'm fine with it, considering what I get back. But this is the thing that so rarely works. I mean, normal people, perhaps I'm kind of weird, normal people don't bother checking through all that stuff. They are not interested in it. They just want to have this service, whatever, that works. Okay. And then they just, hit the button and fine. And that has been the big problem, I think, because many people, why would they care? They shouldn't need to care, really. There's the slippery slope, I think, that's been really, really dangerous.
But it's also new use for it, because I had a colleague who told his children to have it on for detection of location. So that he know where they were, and I mean that's a useful stuff out of it. But again, it becomes very much.
That's the only thing I hate about it. I think that's really awful. This kind of. I've fortunately lived my youth when nobody could spy on me. When I went out from the door and my mother asked, "Where are you going?" I said, "Out."
Yeah, right.
Nothing more.
So, Tina, what's wrong with spying on your children? Come on.
Oh, I don't. I somehow I just feel spying on anyone. I think it's disgusting. I
there are other words for that. You don't. need to call it spying. Just like torture is these days called, what is it called? It's called enhanced interrogation or something like that. So there are other words. We could find some other words for that.
I mean, imagine if the old styles of the KGB and Stasi had access to all this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, they had no idea. They were amateurs.
They were darn
absolute amateurs.
Yeah.
They really hadn't a clue.
Poor souls. They would be very, very, very happy and lucky.
Yeah.
And if you had,
I'd been.
Imagine if you proposed 15, 20 years ago that you can have free telephone calls if you allow us to record every single call and use it for whatever purpose we feel necessary and sell the information to other people. I don't think people would have said okay to that. But now we're happily just saying, hey, no problem, no, take everything, it's, we're stuck in this world. We can't get out. We really can't get out. And I don't think we're clever enough to manipulate it, because the people manipulating us are a million times cleverer than we are. I'm a little worried that we're all like happily following the Pied Piper into the cave.
And it's not just the people that are more clever than us. It's the intelligence.
But it's also about the big data thing. That's something that that's
it's the scale.
I just because they're sort of selling big data to schools and to monitor every student and to make statistics and make connections and relations and comparisons and so on. And this is something I really feel that this kind of information is not what I want to base our development of education on, not on big data, not at all. It's qualitative data we need, and we need to sort of understand things, not look at the big data thing. But this is something that's been, our Ministry of Education, not the Board of Education, but the ministry has been so fascinated about big data and trying to get all kinds of big data from everywhere. And the universities are just talking about that. And I think this is somehow there are these trends in that some terms, they sort of suddenly become so popular and so sort of fascinating that everybody goes after them, and I just hate that. That's something I just came to think
of. I just came to think of this startup. I think still, but there's been quite a lot of. It's been in the news quite a bit. I think, of course, the name of it just escapes me. But it's like. Their mission is to create something like Spotify for education, like tailor-made education using artificial intelligence, where the students can get exact response they need in exact right time and all of that stuff. That sounds like the nightmare for you, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a robot who is sort of. They're trying to make it a teacher of languages, a teacher of English for children. And it's so stupid. I've never seen a stupider thing than this robot. It's when I ask it anything, it just wants to dance. I'm a sex bomb. It's its favorite thing.
But just wait.
We got a link from Alistair here. What's this?
It's a nice article. It's pretty long and serious, but it was quite. I thought it was
one of the relevant.
Yeah, one of the very relevant about this distraction and this selling ourselves to the market. I think I agree with you, Tina. The big data side. I'm not sure how far we want to go with this, because I've been looking. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I know people who are experts in learning analytics, and there's a lot of potential for learning analytics, but there's also a lot of potential. It's not just helping the students and providing good material and so on. It's very much about surveillance. It's very much about you know what, you cannot escape. Every move you make, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I realize more and more
it's
that
about control.
It's
very
control.
powerful.
Right.
It's exercising power.
Yeah,
and this is really disgusting. Yeah,
and people think it's freedom, and so you can see those paradoxes in society. That you can see, the most totalitarian powers in our society are always going on about freedom of speech.
Yeah, right.
And they're always going on about democracy, even if they're actually they're very profoundly against that idea. But it's their it's their interpretation.
It's even in the name of those countries, almost all of them. Democracy, democratic republics. There've been many of those.
The right to be a racist or sexist or fascist or whatever. It's your freedom to carry a gun wherever you like and such. And you're twisting these words. Look at the words that are being twisted. There was a lovely thing in what was it about how companies are using the term about green and environment, and they're just playing with it so that you actually don't know what green means anymore.
Right.
There's what's it called? Green brushing. There's a term for that that companies are pretending that they're green and when they're not, and the result is the public haven't a clue what green means anymore. When airlines are saying they're green, we're all green, whatever, green coal, green nuclear power, green atom bombs, our atom bombs only destroy, they're organic atom bombs. And it just becomes, the words like free, open, green, democratic. They've got so twisted, and we don't know what they mean anymore.
That's definitely something.
Danger.
That's a kind of a trend for sure. Absolutely, I think you nailed it there. Many things are getting new names.
Getting new names, and the danger is that we think it'll be all right because it always has been, and that we've never really learned to live with. We've never had to deal with limitations on democracy and limitations on freedom before. We've always thought that it would be forever, and now there is the potential to turn the world into something much darker. And I'm afraid that people actually haven't. They either don't care or they don't know what's going on.
I think most people don't care because they don't just have the time and energy to put into all this. And in not caring, if like I said earlier, if a huge number of people don't care for whatever reason, then it can get dangerous. Somehow we should make people care. I mean, like I said earlier, Facebook is just doing better after all this horrible stuff. They've been earning more money than ever after all this. So I don't know, where are we heading?
And what somehow people think, or I don't know, some people think that that money is the thing that solves. You can buy anything, Our Ministry of Environment said that now that they're building a lot of mills, and we're worried that our forests are endangered. And he said, okay, they won't be probably anyway, but if they are, then we earn so much money that we can buy the reduction of emissions or something like that. So it's like, you can buy your way out somehow for destroying nature. Because you can buy it's
doesn't seem to be working.
It doesn't seem very moral thing at all. or ethical thing at all. I think this is the kind of, it's like making deals with, but we can't make deals with our future, can we? No, we can't. It can't be bought or sold. It's just something we have to face, that we have to make decisions about it and take a standing and protect.
So if technology is not going to fix education, what is?
Well, one thing I've thought about is, what's the alternative to all these freemiums and supposedly free services? Could there be
everything is pretty much everything? Of course, now I'm leaving the so-called real freebies out that are in education. For example, most of the stuff it is financed by ads, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing that we've really got wrong. That's the corrupting element, really.
So what would be another way of playing that?
Well, the other way is go back to the sort of more the original idea behind the internet, that's not disappeared. It's still around, but it's sort of under the radar. But it's got a big problem. But what I mean is, for the education sector to build its own repositories, its own networks, its own systems, as they did in the beginning, that would be run transparently, democratically, with security and so on. However, somebody's got to do it. And way back before the social media revolution and the so-called Web 2.0, remember that one?
Yeah.
Just barely.
A lot of this sort of stuff went on in very nerdy educational networks in the USA and over here in Scandinavia as well, around Europe. They tended to be rather nerdy networks and net servers and wikis. There were loads of wikis around. I mean, there was Wiki Educator, Wiki University, and people were building courses. They were collaborating. They were working together. And it wasn't soiled by commercialism.
Yeah.
The only trouble is it relies on enthusiasts, a lot of fresh air, and there's no money in it. And when the enthusiasts have had enough, it all falls apart.
Yeah.
Because somewhere along the line, there's a university that is okay that some of its employees are doing stuff that is maybe not completely their job, but it's just idealistic, or people in their free spare time are inventing things like Linux or whatever else, wikis. But again, it doesn't last because there's no funding. There's no permanent funding. Can there be permanent funding? How do you do that? In an age where everything is being privatized and everything has to have a bottom line, and you're not allowed to do anything communally or for the good of the people, because it has to be, is it profitable? So I don't know where that's going to come from, and we've got so used to these the commercial services are so attractive.
Yeah,
They're so much fun that to go back to these clunky, square, boring sort of chat lists and discussion forums. I mean, they're boring as hell.
This
compared to Facebook,
this whole connecting the world thing. Yeah, it's a pretty neat idea actually. It's just too bad there's got to be that middleman there who's making billions and billions and billions out of the user's data.
But this was I was an idealist in that sense, and I enjoyed the idea of getting connected and sharing, and I felt that I had got so much from the internet for free, ideas and new things that I owed them to give back my ideas and I just felt. But then what was really annoying, there came, for example, Microsoft, and they were, creating these spaces for teachers where you could share your things in their own private.
Sure. Yep.
And they wanted to get teachers in their sort of environment.
Well, they already have
and
Google, Microsoft,
build
Apple, all
in
of them. They already have.
their spaces for free.
Mhm.
Because that was the problem with most of the tool inventors and tool makers, was that they had the tools, but they didn't have no content, nothing that was pedagogically sort of could be used pedagogically without a lot of work and a lot of stuff. But there were so many people trying to use you. And that was something that really got on my nerves. I'm prepared to share everything for free, but I'm not going to be used by anyone or abused by Microsoft or Google or anyone.
But isn't that the trend with Alistair? We talked about the MOOC, where in my ideal situation, when I participate in a MOOC, I create, as they call it, personal learning environment, and then I take from different sources to create my own environment. And then it's all about that it shouldn't actually, like you say, it shouldn't be on. I mean, I work a lot with this Microsoft educator community, and the content, as you say, it's there. And if I disappear, it's in their possession. So if there would be a way for me to have the same content and sharing it with them, but if I want to stop sharing it or if I want to disappear, I should own my material.
Absolutely.
Right.
Isn't that something that is like the essence of GDPR as well? That you should own your own content, own your own data, and be able to get it back wherever you are if you want to change services or whatnot. I think that's one of the main things with GDPR that I really like.
Yeah, and a lot of especially academics in the US who work with sort of open education have been saying a lot of good things about GDPR and saying, I wish we had that in the US, but there isn't a hope in hell of it ever happening, because they will never regulate. They're not interested in that sort of thing. It's let the companies do whatever they like.
I don't know. Stranger things are known to happen.
And I think in GDPR, the fines are quite extensive. So so this it could have a scare effect for some people, and it could be effective in that way, even if we feel that it's a lot of nonsense and all these things.
It could be a bit of an incentive even for a huge company.
Because if there someone could make his or her profession that he reveals these scams. So, and he could make a lot of money, and maybe it would be a good thing to do in a way, and also get some money for it.
On by Friday evening, there were, I think, at least two court cases. Two prosecutions were registered. I think in the UK, one against Facebook, the other against Google, for breaches of GDPR on the very first day. So the lawyers are already into action.
We'll see.
They must have been preparing them for quite a while.
They had the whole
and they won't pay anything.
They knew that Google and Facebook were going to break it, so they knew what to go for. But at the same time, I think their attitude is get lost, basically, because they're bigger than any government on earth, and they can do what they like.
We'll see about that. Huh?
Certainly Google are.
Yeah. There are some really, really huge players in this field these days, that's for sure. And the question is if it will be, if they will continue that way, or if there will be even more aggressive legislation coming up.
But they'll have to break them up.
Well,
break up
that's not
people into
that's not
different, because
impossible.
that was done in the telecoms industry with AT&T and so on,
Yeah.
who were so dominant in the US, in North America, that
Yeah.
they were
They are
Bell
they are
company
pretty tough on that in the
they were,
US.
yeah, they were broken up in
For sure,
the
yeah.
80s
Yeah.
because they had total dominance, and so they were forced to sort of disappear into different. And a lot of people have said that, I mean, the reason that these companies have got so gigantic is because we've been following the Pied Piper, that we have been naive and just given them what they wanted and let them get away with it.
Yeah. Or we haven't got a chance to do anything else.
Yeah. But also
If you
they've spun this very very attractive narrative. The storytelling, as you know, is very important in today's society, and the
Absolutely.
storytelling from Silicon Valley has been this idea of these kids in their garages who sort of invent a cool new tool, and they all sit on their bean bags in Silicon Valley and they play basketball, and they're so relaxed and cool and have the latest sneakers and basketball jerseys and so on. And I mean, you've got to trust them. They're so wonderful, and they all want freedom, love, and understanding for everybody, and they're doing it for
come on,
you.
guys! Technology will make the world a better
We're going to
place.
save the world.
We
We
have
are
a green
the world.
world.
We are the people. Da, 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 da. And we just fell for it. We just thought, this is business. This is really serious business. And we thought they were just kids playing. No way.
Yeah.
Perhaps they were kids playing once upon a time. Who knows?
But I think there's a lot of mythology going on there.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Hey, we've been at this almost 1 hour, and sooner or later, I feel I gotta get home. I want to get home, since I'm still at work. For heaven's sake!
Me too.
Horrible stuff.
So much.
Could be worse though. It's been interesting for sure, and it will be really interesting. Also with the GDPR stuff, when we're done with this first bumps of whatever, also hysteria here. Something I find really strange is that, at least on my home turf here, I've noticed that somehow like paper is considered more safe and secure than information that's digitally stored these days. And the way I see it, it's just plain madness. There's nothing as insecure as paper. I mean, at least if you're dealing with digital information, then there's always the trail to follow. All these piles of paper, when they are lost somewhere, God knows what has happened. No way to find out. So that's just plain stupid. That's the way I see it, at least. But it's got to be dealt with the proper way, of course, the digital information, that's for sure. And hopefully it will be dealt with better. Moving on from here. Did we just stay on the dark side all the way, or are there any positive things popping up?
Let's try to end on a positive note. I think it's
positive note would be fine here in the end.
Digital literacy all the way. Let's help our students and pupils to realize that this world is not as sweet and beautiful as we might. There's a lot of stuff out there. Be responsible.
Yeah.
Be aware, and don't fall for pretty stories.
Right, it's those guys. It's those guys who are in charge soon.
But
the young ones.
It's a sort of normal media criticism.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's.
But let's step it up. Let's step it up. It's even more.
That's a good note to end.
Okay, and that
Jonas, you got
up
a
a bit.
positive note, I think.
Even we old folks try to step up a bit, huh?
Yes, we do.
Great. Too bad we couldn't have Kim with us from Malmö, because he's into GDPR big time, and I bet he could have had some really interesting comments about it as well. He loves it, I think, which is, what the heck? I guess I do too, in a way. Who doesn't? The way things have turned out. So hope you'll have a great summer. It's already here. It's been here, at least in the Nordic area, for weeks and weeks, it seems. Just goes on and on and on. Is that climate change or is it weather or
Um,
what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, that now.
Have a good one.
Don't pull it to the climate change. It's just, it's
It's
just
weather. It's
so
great weather. Huh?
nice after the very,
Beautiful
very
weather.
cold.
Yeah. We
winter.
deserve it. We deserve it for sure.
That's,
And hopefully we can join forces again.
absolutely. This is
And not
great.
only on the dark side.
Yeah. There's
So
so
who knows? It's
stuff
been
happening.
crazy for me, like lately on many fronts. But I'm really glad that we could pull this off. It was fun.
Yes, it is indeed.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, it's great to be reminded of how much fun it is actually talking to you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, have a great summer, all of you folks, and
Yeah.
see you again, like when the darkness is coming again. Nah,
Okay.
after summer.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice- have a
Bye-bye.
nice summer. Have a nice.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.